Hello guys, welcome back to another video, a slightly different video today. I've got Jonny here with me and we're about to do our top 3 favourite moments looking back through keeping goals.
So I know a lot of you are new here and maybe you haven't seen me for a little while, especially if you've just joined, but I've been making videos with Con since 2017 and throughout that time we've had lots of fun moments together and I'm super excited to have a look through some of these moments. I'm excited to see what you've picked out, Con.
So coming in at number 3, normally Jonny is working his magic behind the camera or in the editing studio, but every now and again he comes in front of the camera and tries his luck with the football. Do you remember this free kick shot, Jonny?
Oh my word. That's quality, that's quality. Top bins, straight in the top corner. I think you got a fingertip to it, but you can't pick that one out, can you? I love it when Conor and I have been filming like all day and then we get like 20 minutes just to have a kick around together and stuff like this, just magic comes out the top drawer. Like in trainers, can you believe that went top bins? If you need some free kick tutorials, drop a comment below and hit me up.
There's nothing more humbling when you've done a full goalkeeping tutorial and then the cameraman comes around in trainers and sticks one of the top bins straight past you when you're trying your hardest. So Jonny definitely showed me how it was done.
Coming in at number 2 is a time that I decided to bring a rugby ball to Conor's goalkeeper training. Now, I don't think Conor was too happy with the fact that I decided to bring a rugby ball. I think he was more being polite at the fact that I wanted to bring it along. But, I mean, look at how he is reacting to the bounce of this ball. Really weird. And, yeah, Con, what did you think about me bringing along a rugby ball to this?
So this is back in the Loughborough days. We didn't have that structured goalkeeper training, so Jonny thought he'd add a little bit of variation with some rugby ball service, a little bit of change in serve, dealing with the bounce. I just wasn't ready for the moment that it would bounce straight up and smack me in the face while it was freezing cold, rainy, muddy. That probably summed up the day. But we're not the first people to have then added goalkeeper training with rugby balls into it, as you said before, Jonny.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I think I may have spotted in a Kieran Brown video him trying to face a rugby ball and maybe even in a deck video. So it just goes to show, if you want to try out those reaction saves, maybe you should get a rugby ball and bring it to training and just get someone to whack it at you. But it didn't stop there, because following on from that, one episode later of Keeping Goals, we were out doing a fly half versus goalkeeper challenge, trying to see who really has the best kicking out of the two of us. Con, this challenge maybe took us a full day to film and it was the windiest day probably on record.
This was probably one of the most fun I've had with shooting for keeping goals. Like you say, super windy, trying drop kicks with footballs, rugby balls from about half the length of the pitch. Ended up none of us winning the challenges, so we had to come up with an emergency way of solving it. And of course, the goalkeeper side volley did win it in the end. I think we managed to put footballs into people's gardens, we were winding everyone up, but it was really good fun. And we found out that the goalkeepers were the best kickers of the ball, so apologies, Fly Hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry I let the side down there, but just to put it into perspective, I think we were doing a crossbar challenge to finish off the day for like half an hour to an hour. We were filming that part of it and neither of us could finish off the challenge and really determine who was the winner. So, you know, Con is saying that goalkeepers won the day, but I think fly halves, we were hanging right in there.
And before we get to number 1 in our list, we thought that we'd have a couple of honourable mentions that didn't quite make it into top 3, but that we wanted to look back on. First one being watching a UFC fight together whilst we're at university in the house that we were sharing with our other housemates, and some pretty incredible reactions from watching some pretty brutal knockouts. Not football related, not goalkeeper related, but one of those moments from keeping goals which you only really get when we're in the same place, and something that we look back on with a lot of fondness, and also showing why we pick football as our sport and not mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I don't think either of us would fare too well in the cage, although I know Conor fancies himself a little bit of a Conor McGregor. But if you want to see more reactions like this one and you want to see us watch party some things together, drop a comment down below, because, you know, maybe in the future you can have a live watch along with Conor and me and we can be watching some sporting events and getting these real-time reactions like this one. The next honourable mention that doesn't quite make the top 3 is this moment from a Q&A back in season 2.
Where do you see yourself in 3 or 4 years' time?
So I found this moment when I was looking back, trying to find some moments for this top 3, and it's really ironic because we're literally talking about where we think we'll be in 3 or 4 years' time, and in a couple of weeks it's going to be 3 years' time exactly. So are we where we said we were going to be?
Where do you see
keeping goals in 3 or 4 years' time, I think we're still going to be doing it.
Yeah.
We'll be in a interesting place. Interesting things will happen. We'll have had a lot of ups, a lot of downs. This is one of the best bits about keeping goals. You look back on these moments from a long, long time ago that you've completely forgotten, and it shows you how far you've come since then. That was something that we wanted to do with it, to document this process and hopefully bring value to people through that documentation. But a massive bonus is for us to be able to look back and go, oh wow, how cool was that? And like you say, pretty much to the day, 3 years ago, we were saying that hopefully we'd carry on with keeping goals, which we have done, and we've been amazed by how much it's grown and how much you guys have enjoyed it. We said hopefully that we'd still be chasing that process of trying to play at the highest level in football, which is exactly what we're doing. So, not that we were fortune tellers, but it is very, very cool to be able to look back 3 years ago, see where we wanted to be, and then look how far we've managed to come since then. And finally, number 1 in our countdown today is our trip to Sweden back in 2019. Not so much a moment, but a pretty cool period of time in keeping goals. Me and Jonny, we travelled to Stockholm, we had some trials in Sweden, lots of snow. Little did we know that 3 years later, we would still be in Sweden, and this would be where the keeping goals journey was continuing to progress. Jonny, what do you remember from that first period coming to Sweden for the very first time?
Yeah, I just remember how cold it was and how frozen everything was. This shot from the drone at the very beginning of episode 24 in season 2, you can see that there's a road, right? And it goes across this bridge. I'm pretty sure we were driving across there on a bus like one day. And I think there were 3 or 4 of these bridges in a row, completely frozen, going around corners. And we were like drifting on a bus. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is the end of keeping goals. Like, we're not going to make it back, and it's going to be the end. There'll be no video for this weekend.
I love that that's your first worry, that there'd be no video for this weekend, rather than that we'd plummet off a bridge.
So the next thing about this trip is that we got back to the place we were staying. We went outside to film, and it was chucking down with snow. I'm pretty sure it was a blizzard. So we were outside filming in this blizzard. And I'm pretty sure I said, let's hope it doesn't continue snowing, otherwise we won't be going to training tomorrow. And then, lo and behold, jinxed it. We get up to go to training the next day, and there's no buses. It's like snowed in. We cannot get out of this place. And Conor misses his training. I just remember feeling like, oh, you idiot. You had to go and say it, didn't you?
It's an early, so we're going to have an early night and hope that this snow lets up a little bit so that we can train properly.
Otherwise, we're not getting too far in the morning.
It was a killer because the first training session, we were late because we ended up going to the wrong football ground, if you remember that one. The second training session, we didn't even get there because it snowed so much. So it wasn't the actual best start to the actual trial period, but we ended up where we needed to be. Seeing as we were in Stockholm and we thought how cold it was, I think I've now been toughened up that we moved about 1,000 miles further north, and Piteå is now the baseline for the cold. But yeah, an amazing experience to be in such an incredible city, to experience Swedish football for the first time, to do it alongside Jonny at the same time, documenting it. That was very, very cool, and something that we really enjoyed sharing with you. And as I said, a really cool indication of where we would eventually end up. So there you have it, our top 3 favourite Conor and Jonny moments from keeping goals so far. Thank you very much for watching. Jonny, thank you for jumping on the video.
Yeah, Con, great to be making content with you again. I know it's not in person, so it's not quite the same, but it's still great fun.
We'll see you next Sunday for the next episode of Keeping Goals, so be ready for that one. But give the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Keep chasing improvement as always, and we'll speak to you in a bit.